All right, today we're going to talk about 1-3 from our math books, and it is the thousandths place today. Yesterday we talked about tenths and hundredths place, and today we're going to move over a place value and talk about the thousandths. All right, so Jenny is training for a race. On Tuesday, she finished her sprint 0.305 thousand seconds faster than she did on Monday. Use what you know about decimal place value to explain the meaning of 0.305 thousandths. We can start by saying that the 3 would be in the tenths place, and that the 0 would be in the hundredths place. What's new to us today is saying that the 5 is in the thousandths place. What we talked about yesterday also was that each number in the 0.305 thousandths, each one is 10 times larger than the one to the left of it. If we're still considering the number 0.305 thousandths, my question, number 1, is how many places to the right of the decimal point is the tenths place? Okay, if you said that the number was 1, you would be correct. Next question, how many places to the right of the decimal point is the hundredths place? Where's the hundredths place? If you said 2, that is perfect. Alright, and lastly, this one should be easy. How many places to the right of the decimal point is the thousandths place? Find the thousandths place and tell me how many times to the right is the thousandths place. Alright, if you answered 3, that is also correct. Well done. When we're thinking about thousandths, we want to pretend that we're envisioning this cube. On a cube, each side has 100 in it, and then there are 10 layers of 100 cubes in each. So altogether, there's 1,000. That's why we say thousandths. So each cube can be thought of as 1 over 1,000 as a fraction. And since one cube can be thought of as 1 over 1,000, then 3 cubes could be thought of as what? Fill in the answer. So you're imagining that there are 3 cubes out of this thousandths that we're looking at, out of the whole thing. So your answer should have been 3 over 1,000. So we want to figure out how you can use a decimal to represent this fraction of 3 over 1,000. We know how to do this because we figured it out yesterday how to do it with tenths and hundredths. Remember yesterday when we talked about how this 1,000 on the bottom just tells us what to do with that 3 on top. So we know that we start with our 0 because this is not a whole number, and add our decimal. And that 3 has to go in the thousandths place. Well, the first place is tenths, so we put a 0. The second place is a hundredths. We don't have anything for the hundredths. And our 3 goes in the thousandths place. So you should write 0.003 for our decimal. So we've concluded so far that we know the decimal for 3 over 1,000 is 0 and 003 thousandths. So we can definitely figure out the decimal for 33 over 1,000. So remember, this 1,000 just tells us where to put the 33. So we can write that, well, we know that it's not a whole number, so we're going to put 0, and that's what we call our decimal. We say and. Do we need anything in our tenths? No, we don't. So we add a 0. Okay, and that next position for the hundredths, we're going to write a 3 because our last digit needs to end in the thousandths column. I'm going to direct you through the next 2 examples, and then you have 2 to answer by yourself. So we're going to look at that we have the knowledge of this 1,000 telling us where to put the 3. So if that 1,000 is telling me to put the 3 in the thousandths place, then I can conclude that it's not a whole number. All right, so I put a 0 and with our decimal, that's what we call our decimals, and 0 because there's nothing in the tenths place, another 0 because there's nothing in the hundredths place, and now we can finally put our 3 in the thousandths place. This is the final example that I'm going to do with you, so listen closely. I realize that this 7 is a whole number, so when I write this as a fraction, this is going to be written as a mixed fraction. So I start by putting my 7 on the outside. And then when I write my fraction, I know that this 1 is not in the tenths place. It's not in the hundredths place. It's in the thousandths place. So my number 1 is going to go on top, and on the bottom, because it's in the thousandths place, it's going to be 1,000 underneath of it. Now it's your turn. How do you write 389 over 1,000 as a decimal? Congratulations, you've made it to the very last slide of this presentation. As your final question, you need to answer, how do you write 3 and 499 thousandths as a fraction? Make sure you take special attention that this 3 is a whole number, and you need to be mindful of what you do with whole numbers with fractions.